let's roll forward into the after action fun field day reports. So as you all know, we had field day a couple of weeks ago. There were a lot of stations in San Diego on the air. Some stations were actually set up in and around the county in a more conventional style, but I'm also sure that some folks probably did things individually and on their own. And this is, as we always try to do, the year after, or the event after the event, the event after the event. I just said that with a straight face. This is something we always try to do after the event while it's fresh in our minds, talking about what worked, what we were surprised at, what we learned, because there's almost always things that come out of this that we had unexpected results. We had something not work that we expected to. Sometimes we had things do things very well that were a complete shock and surprise. So this is a learning experience, to be sure. This is also a time to go out and talk about how you would improve upon perhaps things next year, as the example might be from what you've learned this year. And we'll take volunteers in any order. Please raise your hands. We'll go out and call you off the list. Row.
K1CT is a coordinator for us, so I'll let him take the reins.
I was just going to say, is everybody doing the IARU, or is everybody on 6 meters this morning because it's open to Europe? Awfully quiet out there.
Oh, well, I'll
Bruce,
just,
I'm trying to find where I raised my hand, but I'd be happy to talk about ours. That's what the problem is.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, Bill, K1CT, Convair 220 Amateur Radio Club set up in Hilltop Park and Rancho Penasquitos. Our goal was mainly to do the setup, educate the public, educate ourselves, not to accumulate a great QSO total, although we did make several QSOs. And it was a daytime only operation during Saturday. Some of the things we learned were end-fed half-wave antennas worked probably better than we expected. And then we got some excellent signal reports. By being a little tardy on getting our gazebo application in, made us wind up in a, it was a nice location, but we were about 200 yards closer to the high tension lines that run behind the park. And 20 meters, you could really tell that, as we heard quite a bit of noise on certain frequencies. We're able to work in between the lumps of the noise. So adapting is always part of the field day style. And we adapted and had success there. We ran 6 meters as well, and that worked out. Got some new hams on with 6 meters and on HF, and yeah, I had several. We shared the operating, wasn't dominated by any one person, and lots of folks got a chance to work CW and single sideband on HF, as well as the 6 meter station. And I guess one thing about the gazebos there at Hilltop Park is they are acoustically very hot. In other words, we were using the gazebo both for our dining as well as operating, and headphones were required. But even with headphones, it was difficult to hear over the background noise. So I think next time we'll be setting up in pop-ups nearby the gazebo and reserve the gazebo for socializing and eating and things like that. Got to meet a number of members of the public, and very much appreciated the ARES and ARRL section management coming by to visit us and give us a chance to interact and that sort of thing. That was really good. So we did not run any digital because we were running totally on battery and didn't have a lot of power to run laptop computers and that sort of thing. That was a conscious decision, and I think it worked out great, not having to have a generator noise and cords running all over the place and gasoline and all that sort of stuff. That's probably the way of the future anyway, as gasoline generators in California become a scarcer commodity. That's all I have. Thanks.
Comments or questions for Bill?
This is K6PFG.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, in addition to what Bill has just said, we also had some small demonstrations set up on an alternate table that's adjacent to the gazebo. And we had the availability of the IC 705 that Marty brought along. We brought, there was some home brews like the MCHF QRP radios that were provided by a N6DKJ or Daryl. And of course, there were demonstrations laid out on a table to give people an idea, the segmentation as you would put an antenna together, starting with a full 49-to-1 anon, and the material and boxes that you would also take to put together one. So it make it clear that people can actually do things from home, but they don't necessarily have to purchase something from one of the, the ham outlets. And it's geared primarily for people who get out into a situation where if they have problems out in the field and there's no HRO or gigaparts or DX engineering, that would be able to construct their own antenna and still be able to maintain a communication link to the outside. That's my input.
Very good. Any other comments or questions for Bill or Patrick? So I had two things really quick as related to the noise level. A lot of folks will go out and pre-run a site for field day. They'll go out and drive to it on a nice warm sunny day usually and throw up a couple of maybe test wires or do things like that and try to see where they can go out and communicate to and see if it's going to be a good site and listen to the radio and dial around and see if there's any interference, things like that. And what I've seen for a number of years is that works out really well during the daytime, but what folks don't do is run in the late afternoon and early evening hours to go out and do that pre-site run or pre-site check. And what you find out sometimes is that someone will have a really noisy plasma TV a half mile away, causing broadband noise in HF. You may find that as the sun is going down, the humidity levels, especially when you're near an open area or a canyon, will start increasing, and you'll get a errant lightning arrestor on one of the power poles start arcing over, and you'll have broadband noise from that. So my thought and suggestion is that, not only consider do a run of the site during the daylight hours, but maybe more effectively set up late afternoon and then run late afternoon into early evening for that check if you've got a couple of hours to sort that out. Usually by about, plus or minus hour before sunset, hour after sunset, you'll start seeing the power pole related issues. If you're going to have a problem, it'll show up then, and then you'll know whether you're going to have receive challenges or noise blanker challenges, things like that, that might cause you some glitches during your planned operations, if you will. Hey, on the gazebo thing, I've seen folks run into that exact same type of scenario where, for whatever reason, the gazebo from an acoustic perspective is more like a covered parabolic mic. Folks that I've seen deflect from that, no pun intended, have actually put up canopies inside the gazebo to help minimize some of that, break up some of the noise, break up some of the audio. So I've seen that work as well. It takes a little bit of the echo chamber effect away from people talking in the giant hollow tunnel, especially when it's late at night and you're trying to go out and work DX and you get a whole bunch of people standing around talking and you're hearing more of them than you are the DX. So sometimes pop up underneath the hard gazebo might be worth a shot. Who else would like to talk about field day, what they did, how they did it?
I'll say a few words. So I did operated from home, not serious, but got a few cues, alternating log. My experiment this time was to try one of those end-fed antennas. And I agree with the comment that they work a lot better than expected. And on the subsequent week, I tried that end-fed on the Sunday morning nets, and it was maybe a little high for good NVIS. So I'm going to drop it at 20 feet and see how it works then. But I set up a tuner with 2 ports to compare the dipole to the end-fed, and just by pushing the button back and forth. And the dipole was generally comparable, except for NVIS. So for what it's worth, that was my my learning experience this time. Back to you.
So what was your overall height before?
And it's a 50-foot mast, a couple feet from the top, so maybe 45 feet up.
Okay, but for Nivis operation, where did you land at?
I haven't dropped it fully yet, so
Got
I'm
it,
thinking
got it,
I'm
got it.
gonna drop it to the other end is about 20 feet up, so I think I'm going to drop it to, you know, well, what do you suggest? 30, 20?
Oh, no. I mean, seriously, for 75, 80 meters, at least for me, and this is my my QTH and what I've done in the field, your results may vary, actual mileage will be less. Right about 16 feet, 15, 16 feet. I know
Okay.
that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but 15, 16 feet.
All right, I'll give it a try. If I can have, that might be a challenge with the antenna wires crossing each other in the, it's a messy path. So, all right, good to know.
And flat, so not inverted V or anything like that. It's flat. I've got mine configured in an L configuration just because of the lot sizing. I can only go 66 feet in one direction to do it a certain way, and I do have the ends bent just a little bit because of that. But I'm in an L configuration, so it's not the most optimal, but 15, 16 feet completely flat. And on Sunday mornings, that's universally what I hear and operate the best on. I've got 4 other antennas for 75, 80 meters, everything from, slopers to regular dipoles to whatever. And the Nivis antenna is always the best for the Sunday morning offense.
So this L-shaped antenna you have, is it an end fed or is it a dipole?
No, it's a dipole.
Okay.
Anything else for field day? I know Rob, I'm pretty sure Rob participated in field day.
Rob and Dave, section manager Dave, toured different field day sites around the county. It was a pleasure meeting everybody again, or for the very first time. Some people we've been talking to on the radio for years, and it's great to finally meet them in person. So Dave and I coincidentally started at the same spot, started up in Fallbrook, and then we zigzagged around the county. But after Fallbrook, I didn't see Dave again because he was zigging when I was zagging. I did a trip up to Palomar Mountain to visit a site up there. Some T-hunters had gone up there, and Dave finished his tour of the county a few hours before I did, before I finally got home. And so I finished up. I did my last visitation on Sunday morning. Went out to Santee Lakes to see the El Cajon Club out there and their setup. But it was great seeing everybody, and put a lot of photos into the field day photo album, which is on the Aries groups.io site. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Rob. Thank you guys for doing the drive around.
And you just posted a link to that in the chat for those who want to just grab it.
Anyone else for field day? All right. Anyone have any closing topics before we wrap up today's meeting? I'm not watching chat, by the way, so if there's follow on in chat for this. Yeah, Rob's got the field day album in there. Very good. All right.
Yeah, I've been kind of watching chat. Nothing there.
Although an important announcement from about the ARRL shirts, they are available. People have asked about ARRL shirts, and so contact Rhonda or Mike in Valley Center. Their email addresses are there in chat.
Yes, that's true. A few things that are in chat, but nothing about this, but the vaccine record that was mentioned earlier, Mike K6AMQ notes that at Palomar, the restrooms are inside. So even if you are outdoors, you will need to, the vaccine card, use the restroom. And that might be also pertinent for other sites. And I think that's about all the news is fit to print. Everything else has been kind of covered verbally already.
I have a question about mounting antennas to palm trees. I have a fairly tall king palm in my backyard, and it was suggested by one helpful fellow that I could run a line from that palm to the opposite corner of my roof. And concerns I have for that are the swinging of the tree back and forth in the wind, of course, but also that type of tree tends to slough off its leaves on its own every now and then, unlike many other types of palm trees. Does anyone have any experience dealing with that sort of tree?
I can speak to the Mexican fan palm.
Okay.
I have, that's my inverted V is the vertex is up in a Mexican fan palm. I had the tree trimmers go up there and put a pulley up there. And so I run the vertex of the antenna up to the top. It's roughly 30 feet up. And I purposely make the link on the from the rope to the center insulator sort of on the weak side. So if the tree does sway, it intentionally breaks. All that means is I roll the line down and reattach the vertex and put it back up there. And every year or two that happens, but it's not a big deal. It's fixed in probably 15 minutes or less. And I tie my ends off to the fence, and it's not in one plane. I kind of squeeze it into my lot, and it seems to work okay.
Okay, thank you. I might contact you about that again in the future.
Sure, Ted. I'll see you then.
Thanks,
You know where I
Bill.
am every Sunday morning.
Okay.
Don't some people take that pulley and they'll hang a counterweight down near the bottom of the tree so the tree sways and the pulley and the counterweight take care of the flexing back and forth?
If you're old school, yep, that's how you do it. If you don't want busted wires, you betcha. Plenty of information about that online. Even to this day, that's something that I used to go out and good grief, I remember seeing that back in probably a 1930s, 1940s version of the amateur radio handbook. That's how far back that goes. But yeah, spot on. Pulleys with a counterweight to go out and just keep the line tensioned loosely or lightly. And that way, if the tree moves, you're not breaking wires. It don't make any difference. It'll just go right along for the ride. Anything else before we wrap up today's meeting?
Thank you.
All right, Dave, you want to bring it to a close?
All right. Thanks, everybody, for being there. A lot of good stuff this morning. We'll get this recording going and do the recording part of it here shortly. And hopefully Rob can get that posted later today. So if there's something you missed or, something you want to go over, it'll be available and should be there for everybody. Rob?
I got one more. There's a comment in chat where to send the ICS 213 report. You can send me ICS 213s at ARRES, ARES at JSG, Juliet Sierra Golf.org, ARRES at JSG.org.
That's a 214 for participating today for the people that do it.
Yeah, I think Joshua just mistyped it. Yeah,
Yeah,
214.
okay, yeah, 214, yeah.
14s.
Thanks, Jay. That's good. Nothing else for me. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for your participation today. We will, I'm sure, hear many of you and work many of you on the hospital event. And we look forward to having you join another future meeting with the group, especially with the after action report from the hospital drill, which would be super important. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Be safe out there, and we will talk to you in the future.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care. This is Jim signing off.